America is drowning in liberalism. The White House and Congress are pushing for massive reconstruction of our economy, along with a rash of executive orders that are driving our country to socialism. What is called wokeism and cancel culture are on the rise. Censorship is rife, especially against Christians. So how can we fight back? Author Steve Strang has some answers.
Imagine waking up one day and finding out that the whole world is raining anger and hatred at you for something you said decades ago. The mob no longer comes with torches and pitchforks. Now they come with tweets, posts, blogs, and memes. They go to your employers and demand that you lose your job. They come to your home, your school, your place of worship. They harass your family and friends, and they will not stop until your life is destroyed. They are the cancel culture. Cancel culture is real. And if you think they're not coming for you, you're wrong. Stephen E. Strang, author of the best-selling God and Donald Trump, shows you how in his new book, God and Cancel Culture. Stand strong before it's too late.
Well, Steve Strang joins us now. Steve, you are an investigative reporter. That's how you were trained. You were canceled last year when Amazon stopped stocking books published by your company, Charisma House. What happened?
Well, Pat, in the early 2000s, we published a book by Reverend Lou Sheldon called The Gay Agenda. It was not particularly controversial, even though it predicted a lot of the things that have happened. You know, back in that era, even Hillary Clinton said that marriage was between one man and one woman. Then mysteriously last fall, somebody at Amazon, we have no idea who, went through and took the book down as if it didn't exist. We could get no answers. Apparently, they went through and just eliminated anything that they didn't think agreed with their agenda. And this is what's happening with counterculture. With cancel culture. You know, this has been going on for millennia. Dictators, tyrants have always tried to cancel voices that don't agree with them. We see it today in the extreme in North Korea and China. And you said that liberalism is advancing. It is. These trends have been going on for a long time, but now it seems it's almost happening at warp speed. And it's not only in countries like that, but in a country like America, where we have freedom of speech, freedom of religion, we're getting canceled. And my concern is that ultimately it's to cancel Christianity.
Steve, you pointed out in this book, I mean, you have several examples, but for example, the president talked about chloroquine.
Hydroxychloroquine.
And people have been canceled for mentioning that on the air. What's the deal about that?
I have a whole chapter in God and Cancel Culture about all this medical stuff. I mean, here are things that they are not FDA approved. It's called off-label, but they found that hydroxychloroquine, which treats malaria in places like Africa. In fact, Africa has very little COVID compared to the rest of the world because so many people take these drugs. And they found that if they were administered early, that nearly everybody recovers. So Donald Trump said it, and suddenly all the people that hated Donald Trump wanted to cancel this as if it wasn't okay. Ivermectin, which is something I take as a prophylactic, also has very, very good results. You know, we want to get rid of this dread virus. And here are some things, but if people speak up, if doctors who are very well respected even want to mention this, is canceled as if it didn't even exist. They want us to take the vaccines. There's a lot of evidence that the vaccines are very dangerous. I go into that as well. But what's happening is that they're wanting to cancel anything that doesn't agree with their agenda, and that's just one example.
You talk about, of course, Michael Lindell has written a foreword to your book, but Mike got wiped out. He was selling pillows, and everybody liked these pillows, and then all of a sudden he talks about Dominion, and he talks about the other Smartmatic, and he was saying that they rigged the election, and all of a sudden he's been sued and he's been canceled.
I know it's dreadful, and it actually happened before that when he just supported Donald Trump. And totalitarian governments have done this for centuries, but it's new for businesses, woke businesses, canceling people. So here you have Mike Lindell. People want to punish him. 23 major retailers quit selling his pillow. What does that have to do with anything? They're trying to punish him. They're trying to make an example of people like him. So people like you and me say, hey, they got canceled for speaking up. Maybe I should be quiet. And that's self-censorship, self-cancellation. And I believe that that's the most dangerous of all, because then they don't have to come and cancel us one by one. We cancel ourselves. People are intimidated. People need to speak up, especially Christians, because we're also losing our religious freedoms, as we saw with COVID, where they said that churches were non-essential, where they shut down churches while liquor stores and marijuana dispensaries and big box stores were open. You could even riot in Los Angeles with a mask and burn buildings. And somehow that was okay. But going to church, you might be a super spreader. And thankfully, the Supreme Court ruled that churches were essential, but brave citizens like Chehan of Pasadena had to sue the government just to get our constitutional rights. Our constitutional rights do not go away during a crisis, and it's dangerous. They're getting away with more and more and more, and we have to stand strong before it's too late, and that is the point of the book. We haven't totally lost yet, but we're going to lose. We're going to get to a point of no return if we don't stand up. And I think the end game is socialism, which is really communism, which is always atheistic and which always cancels or tries to cancel God.
What about the so-called climate deniers? If somebody is against global warming, do they get canceled too?
Well, many times they do. And this is just one more narrative. It's anything. There's a whole spectrum of things. If you don't agree with them, they want to treat you like you don't exist. Their attitude is, we won, you lost, get over it. Your opinions are not important in the public square, and we've got to stand up. And, one by one, we're being canceled. And they're doing it in a way they don't explain it. People are puzzled. They talk about community standards. Well, the community standards are some far left version of reality that they want to make as if it's true. We've got to stand up, especially Christians who tend to be nice, rather passive people, need to stand up one by one. We need to support people that are canceled. And we've got to stand strong before it's too late, as the subtitle of the book says.
Hey, well, Steve, it's called God and Cancel Culture. It's an amazing book, and it's available wherever books are sold, I guess. I don't know if they cover this on Amazon.
It hasn't been canceled yet. It releases today. I appreciate you having me on the very first day.
Well, we're honored as you give us this chance, and it's quite an alarming book. And the biggest thing that I saw in there, that some credit card companies will refuse to process the credit of people, so they not only cut them off, they cut off their source of money. Steve, is that true?
It's absolutely true. And these things are kind of, below the radar screen, but we can see an example of limiting your ability to buy and sell, like you said with Mike Lindell. And I think it's moving toward the end of time. Earlier in my life, I couldn't see how you'd have 666 tattooed on your head. But now with these chips and the different things that are happening, we're actually seeing how this could come about. And I believe that we're racing toward one world government. This is my attempt to try to get people to wake up. We still have freedoms. We can still pray. Earlier, you're saying that America needs to turn back to God. Absolutely. That is the answer. God is still in control, and prayer changes things.
Steve, thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, this book, as far as I can tell, is still available. You can get it wherever books are sold, I guess. It's called God and Cancel Country. It's an interesting read, and today's the day it's released. Steve, thank you very much.